Let's start.
Saturday morning, Camden County, New Jersey. At 8:17 a.m., the air was quiet. Outside the Core States Bank branch, nothing appeared unusual. A few cars sat parked in the lot. A delivery truck passed slowly on the road. Inside the building, employees prepared for another routine day. Customers waited patiently in line. Some checked deposit slips. Others glanced at their watches. Then, without warning, the front doors burst open. For masked men stormed inside. They moved with speed, with precision, with purpose. Each carried military-style weapons. Witnesses later described the sound first. Not the shouting, not the threats. The sound of boots striking tile. Heavy, fast, controlled. Within seconds, the atmosphere inside the bank shifted from calm to terror. One of the men stepped forward. He raised an AR-15 rifle and pointed it directly at the crowd. His voice was loud, sharp, controlled. Everyone down. Now. Customers froze. For a moment, nobody moved. Then another robber fired a shot into the ceiling. The explosion echoed across the lobby. Screams followed. People dropped instantly. Some fell to their knees. Others lay flat on the floor, hands over their heads. A teller later described the moment as the instant her body stopped responding to her thoughts. Her brain told her to run. Her legs refused. The robbers spread out. Each had a role. Each had an assignment. One guarded the entrance. One controlled the customers. One jumped behind the teller counter. And one walked straight toward the bank manager. Surveillance footage later confirmed their movements. There was no hesitation, no confusion. This was not spontaneous. This was planned. The robber who approached the manager pressed the barrel of his rifle against her head. He ordered her to stand. She complied immediately. He marched her toward the vault. Behind them, another robber began emptying cash drawers. He moved quickly. He did not grab randomly. He targeted specific drawers. He knew where to look. He knew what to take. When one teller hesitated, he forced her to the ground. Witnesses described his movements as calm, not emotional, not panicked, efficient, controlled. That detail would later become critical because experienced investigators know the difference between amateurs and professionals. Amateurs panic, professionals execute, and these men were professionals. At the vault, the manager faced a problem she could not solve. The vault could not open, not yet. Like most modern bank vaults, it operated on a timed lock system. During business hours, it could not be opened immediately. No override existed, no emergency access. She explained this. The robber did not believe her. He pressed the weapon harder against her head. Witnesses later recalled his words. "If you don't open it, you die." Her hands trembled. She tried again. The vault did not open. Seconds passed. The robbery had already lasted longer than planned. Time mattered. Every second increased the risk. Police response, witness observation, unexpected variables. Finally, one of the robbers shouted, "Time's up, move." They abandoned the vault. They returned to the lobby. They gathered the money they had already taken. Then, just as quickly as they entered, they left. Total time inside the bank, 60 seconds. 1 minute. 1 minute to turn a peaceful morning into a federal crime scene. 1 minute to change dozens of lives. 1 minute to trigger one of the largest manhunts in the region. Outside, the robbers entered their getaway vehicle. They drove away. Within minutes, they were gone. When police arrived, they found terrified employees, shaken customers, and a trail that appeared to end immediately. But this was only the beginning. 3 blocks away, smoke rose into the sky. Officers located a burning vehicle. The getaway car had been set on fire, destroyed intentionally. Evidence eliminated. Forensic teams arrived quickly. They examined every inch. Door handles, steering wheel, dashboard, nothing. No fingerprints, no DNA, no traceable evidence. The vehicle had been stolen, abandoned, destroyed. The robbers had planned for this. Back at the bank, FBI agents began their investigation because this was no longer just local crime. This was federal. The bank was federally insured. That made the robbery a federal offense. The FBI took control immediately. Agents reviewed surveillance footage, frame by frame. They studied every movement, every gesture, every detail. What they saw confirmed their worst fears. This was not a random robbery. This was a tactical operation. The robbers wore body armor. They carried military-grade weapons. They operated with discipline. One detail stood out above all others. The rifles, AR-15 platform weapons, semi-automatic, high velocity, capable of penetrating body armor, capable of killing multiple people in seconds. This was escalation. This was not typical. Most bank robberies involved notes, quiet threats, minimal violence. This was different. This was domination, control, fear as a weapon. Agents knew immediately they were not dealing with ordinary criminals. They were dealing with something far more dangerous. Then came the break investigators needed. Before the robbery, an informant had warned the FBI. He spoke of a violent crew operating in Camden, planning a bank robbery. At the time, the information was incomplete. No names, no confirmed targets, just warnings. Now, those warnings had become reality, and one name surfaced above all others. Charlie Rodriguez, known on the streets as Crazy Charlie. His reputation preceded him. Violent, unpredictable, fearless. He did not rob banks like other criminals. He attacked them. He overwhelmed them. He treated robbery like warfare. And now, federal agents believed he was responsible. But Charlie Rodriguez was already gone. He had disappeared, and the hunt for one of the most dangerous fugitives in America had just begun. For federal investigators, the robbery itself was only the beginning, because the moment the smoke cleared, the real question emerged. Who was behind it, and where were they now? Inside the FBI Philadelphia field office, agents gathered around a table covered in surveillance photographs. The images showed four masked figures, their faces hidden, their bodies protected by armor, their hands steady on military weapons. No panic, no hesitation, only control. Special Agent John Tam stared at one frame longer than the others. The photograph showed the tallest robber. His posture was straight. His grip on the rifle was natural, comfortable, not forced, not awkward, experienced. Tam had seen that posture before. He spoke quietly. "I know this guy." Across the table, Special Agent Jim Walsh did not respond immediately. He studied the same image. He already knew the name Tam was thinking. Charlie Rodriguez, known across Philadelphia and Camden by another name. Crazy Charlie. He had not earned the name by accident. Charlie Rodriguez was not loud. He was not reckless in the way most violent criminals were. He was worse. He was disciplined, and he was patient. His criminal history stretched back years. Armed robbery, assault, weapons violations, narcotics offenses. But those charges told only part of the story. What made Charlie dangerous was not his record. It was his reputation. On the streets, stories spread fast. Charlie robbed drug dealers, not banks, not stores, drug dealers, men who carried weapons, men who expected violence, men prepared to fight. And Charlie attacked them anyway. One former associate later described him in simple terms. He was not afraid to die. That alone changed everything, because most criminals avoided confrontation. Charlie sought it. One incident stood above the rest. It happened inside a row house in Camden. Charlie and his crew entered the house, expecting to find a drug dealer alone. They were wrong. The dealer had been warned. He waited inside, armed, ready. The moment Charlie stepped through the doorway, gunfire erupted. Bullets tore through walls. Glass shattered. Wood splintered. Neighbors dropped to the floor as shots echoed across the block. Police received multiple emergency calls. Officer Stephen Leone responded first. He arrived Within minutes, he stepped out of his patrol vehicle and walked directly into a gun battle. Charlie saw him. Charlie raised his rifle, an AR-15. Without hesitation, he fired. The round struck Officer Leone. The officer collapsed, wounded, bleeding. Backup arrived quickly, but Charlie was already gone. He escaped. Officer Leone survived. But the incident changed everything. From that moment forward, Charlie Rodriguez was no longer just a suspect. He became a priority target, a violent fugitive, a man willing to shoot a police officer. The FBI joined the hunt. They opened a federal fugitive investigation. They tracked his known associates. They monitored his family. They searched his known locations. Nothing. Charlie disappeared. He stopped using phones. He stopped contacting friends. He stopped existing in the places investigators expected. It was as if he had learned how to become invisible. Agent Walsh later explained the challenge in simple terms. He knew how he worked. Charlie understood surveillance. He understood patterns. He understood risk. He avoided routines. He never stayed in one place long. He moved constantly. North Philadelphia, Camden, abandoned houses, temporary apartments, always shifting, always watching. He trusted almost no one, except one person, his brother, Joseph Rodriguez, known as Joey. Joey was different, less controlled, less patient, but just as violent. Together, they formed the core of the crew investigators believed was responsible for the bank robbery. If agents could not find Charlie, they would find Joey. And if they found Joey, they might find Charlie. Surveillance teams began monitoring Joey immediately. They followed him. They watched him meet with associates. They documented his movements. But Joey never led them to Charlie. It was as if Charlie existed outside the normal world. He appeared only when he chose, and disappeared when he sensed danger. Weeks passed, then months. The investigation stalled. No arrests, no confirmed sightings, no mistakes, until the robberies started again. Nearly 1 year after the first bank attack, another call came in. Another bank, another violent takeover. This time, the attack began before the bank even opened. Employees arrived early that morning. They approached the entrance and saw them. 3 armed men, wearing masks, body armor, holding rifles. The employees froze. One backed away slowly, refused to unlock the door. That decision may have saved lives, because seconds later, gunfire erupted. The robbers fired directly into the glass. The door shattered. They entered by force. Inside, the violence escalated immediately. They fired additional rounds into the ceiling, not to hit anyone, to control everyone, to dominate the environment. Witnesses described the sound as deafening. Employees dropped to the floor, hands over heads, heart rates accelerating, breathing uncontrollable. The robbers moved quickly, emptying drawers, threatening employees, maintaining control. Total time inside, less than 1 minute. Then they left. Outside, their getaway vehicle failed. The engine would not start. For a moment, everything stopped. Then Charlie made a decision. A bank employee had just arrived in her personal vehicle. Charlie approached her, pulled her from the car, took the keys, stole the vehicle, and escaped. Witnesses watched helplessly. Powerless, again he vanished. Back at the FBI office, Agent Tam reviewed the footage. Same weapons, same tactics, same discipline, same violence. There was no doubt Charlie Rodriguez was escalating, becoming more aggressive, more confident, more dangerous. Agent Tam understood the reality. Charlie was not finished. He was evolving, and unless he was stopped, someone would die. The manhunt intensified. More agents assigned, more surveillance operations launched, more resources committed. But Charlie remained ahead, always one step ahead, always just out of reach. Agents began to understand something unsettling. Charlie was not just hiding. He was studying them, watching them, learning from them, and waiting By the 18th month of the investigation, federal agents had reached a dangerous conclusion. Charlie Rodriguez was no longer reacting. He was preparing for something bigger, more violent, more permanent. Inside the FBI Philadelphia field office, Special Agent John Tam reviewed new intelligence that had just arrived from a local police contact in Merchantville, New Jersey. The source was not anonymous. He had a name, Fernando Flores. His connection to Charlie Rodriguez made the situation more complicated. Fernando was family, a relative, and more importantly, a former police officer. That fact alone raised immediate concern. Because if true, Charlie trusted him enough to speak freely, trusted him enough to reveal plans. Detective Roy Whitmore, the officer who delivered the information, explained the urgency. Fernando was afraid, not for himself, for others. According to Fernando, Charlie had begun talking about killing police officers, not avoiding them, not escaping them, killing them. Fernando described one conversation in detail. Charlie had obtained new rifles, military rifles. He had spoken calmly about using them, not in robbery, in confrontation. He believed violence was inevitable. He believed death was acceptable. He believed survival required escalation. For agents who had spent months chasing him, this confirmed their worst fears. Charlie Rodriguez was preparing for war. Agent Tam knew time was running out. If Charlie acted first, officers would die. Civilians would die. The opportunity to stop him was closing. Fernando agreed to meet the FBI. The meeting took place in a controlled location. Agents asked questions, carefully, methodically. They needed to know if he was telling the truth. They tested him. They asked for details only someone close to Charlie would know. Fernando answered every question correctly. His voice remained steady, but his hands betrayed him. They trembled. He understood the risk. If Charlie discovered his cooperation, Fernando would not survive. Charlie did not forgive betrayal, even from family. Agent Tam presented a plan. They would use Charlie's greatest weakness against him, his obsession with weapons. Charlie loved guns, not for protection, for power, for identity, for control. Fernando would offer to sell Charlie a rare firearm, something valuable, something irresistible. A meeting would be arranged. Agents would be waiting. Charlie would be arrested, but Charlie never appeared. Instead, Joey came. Charlie stayed hidden, watching, testing, waiting. He trusted no one completely, not even family. The plan failed, but something unexpected happened. Joey revealed something important. Charlie was planning another robbery, not a bank, an armored vehicle. The potential payout was massive. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe more. Agent Tam saw opportunity. If Charlie wanted robbery, the FBI would give him one, a controlled robbery, a trap. Fernando would tell Charlie about an armored vehicle delivery, a routine stop, predictable, vulnerable. Charlie believed him. He accepted immediately. He wanted the money. He wanted the control. He wanted the victory. He did not know he was walking into a trap. Fernando would tell Charlie about an armored vehicle delivery, a routine stop, predictable, vulnerable. Charlie believed him. He accepted immediately. He wanted the money. He wanted the control. He wanted the victory. He did not know he was walking into a trap. Agents began preparing immediately. The location was chosen carefully. A service plaza on the New Jersey Turnpike. Isolated, controllable, containable, perfect. The plan required precision. Fernando would drive Charlie and his crew to the location. Agents would surround them. Snipers would be positioned on rooftops. SWAT teams would wait nearby. Every exit blocked. Every movement controlled. Charlie would have nowhere to go. The operation was scheduled. The date chosen. The trap was set. But with Charlie Rodriguez, nothing was predictable. September 1st, 9 a.m. The service plaza appeared normal. Cars parked. Drivers walked inside. Coffee brewed. But nothing was normal. Inside parked vehicles, FBI agents waited. Hidden, watching, listening. On rooftops, snipers adjusted their scopes. Inside nearby buildings, SWAT teams stood ready. Every movement rehearsed, every second planned. The radio remained quiet. Then a voice broke the silence. Suspect vehicle approaching. Heart rates increased. Adrenaline surged. This was it. The vehicle entered the parking lot slowly. Inside sat Charlie Rodriguez, the most wanted fugitive in the region. For 18 months, he had escaped. Now he was here, within reach. Fernando sat in the driver's seat. Joey sat beside him. Charlie sat in the rear. Watching, always watching. Fernando parked exactly where instructed. Everything was going according to plan. Agents prepared to move. Then something changed. Charlie noticed something. Movement, stillness, absence. The plaza felt wrong. Too quiet, too controlled, too perfect. Charlie leaned forward. His instincts spoke. Someone was watching. He spoke calmly. Drive. Fernando hesitated. Charlie repeated the order. Drive. The vehicle began moving. Agents froze. The plan was collapsing. If Charlie escaped, he might disappear forever. Command came through the radio. Deploy. Agent Dave May accelerated his tow truck. He moved into position, attempted to block the escape. Charlie saw him. He knew immediately. This was a trap. He ordered Fernando to accelerate. The vehicle sped toward the exit. Agents moved, weapons raised. Commands shouted, "Stop the vehicle." Charlie did not comply. An agent fired, then another. Gunfire erupted. Bullets struck the vehicle. Glass shattered, metal bent. Still, the vehicle moved. Agent May accelerated harder. He rammed the rear of Charlie's vehicle. The impact was violent. Metal crushed. The vehicle spun, disabled, stopped. Agents surrounded it instantly. Weapons aimed. Commands shouted, "Show your hands." Inside, Joey attempted to run. He opened the door, raised his weapon. Agents fired. He fell. Wounded, Charlie remained inside. Trapped, surrounded, outnumbered. For the first time in 18 months, crazy Charlie Rodriguez had nowhere to go. Agents waited, prepared for a final gunfight, prepared to kill him if necessary. Seconds passed. Charlie did not move. He understood the reality. The hunt was over. Slowly, he raised his hands. He surrendered. Agents pulled him from a vehicle, placed him in handcuffs. The most dangerous fugitive they had pursued was finally in custody. Inside the vehicle, agents found weapons. Rifles, pistols, thousands of rounds of ammunition, body armor. They had been prepared for war. But the war had ended. Charlie Rodriguez was transported to federal custody. His brother Joey survived his injuries. He was arrested. Their accomplice was arrested. The crew was finished. In court, evidence was overwhelming. Surveillance footage, weapons, witness testimony, informant cooperation. Charlie Rodriguez received life in federal prison. No parole, no release. His reign of violence ended inside a concrete cell. Agents later reflected on the case. Many called him the most dangerous suspect they had ever pursued. Not because he killed, but because he was willing to, because he was ready, because he had no fear. In the end, the man who lived by violence was stopped by patience, by planning, by betrayal from within his own blood, and by the one thing he could never escape: time.